We'll call to meeting the Board of Adjustment meeting, or I guess we call this for October, huh? Just a few words of advisement. This is a public hearing, so you'll be given time to speak. Please wait for your turn to speak, and please speak when you're invited. Oh yeah. Okay, let's have a roll call. Tom Halliday. No conflicts.
Laurie Urquiaga, no conflicts.
Eric Chase, I have no conflicts.
Andrew Rennick, no conflicts.
Amanda Peterson, no conflicts.
When speaking, make sure to speak into the microphone so everybody can hear clear. Please limit your conversation as it may interfere with audio recording. Please don't attempt to overspeak or interrupt the person that's up at the podium speaking. When you're have your turn to present, you'll have 15 minutes to present. And then we'll let you know if we have any questions for you. If you're still up here, we can speak to you. If you need to come back up, we'll have you come back up. Please state your name and where you live. Okay. Public hearing, item number 1. Scott Murray requests a variance to section 14.10.080 of the Provo City Code to allow a deck on a new home to extend 6 feet into the required 10-foot side yard in a R110 family residential. Zone located at 2723 North Canyon Road, Edgemont Neighborhood.
No, I'll go through it. Okay, thank you, Board of Adjustment, for meeting here today. My name is Ardmore, and I'm going to be presenting the staff report on behalf of Development Services. So first, the criteria, the rules of what this board looks at. You'll see that there. Hopefully you're familiar with this. We just put this up as a reminder to everybody in attendance, to those watching, that there's very specific criteria that need to be met to approve a variance from the city code. And though we get letters of support or opposition, either way, it really is these 5 criteria that the decision comes down to. So getting into the item that's in front of you today, the property is here on your screen, North Canyon Road, right next to the Fire Station 22. It's an R110 zone. Building permit, you can see the foundation work there in this aerial imagery. The foundation was installed with the permit that was issued October 23. So I've been working on that permit for close to a year now. The request comes to you because of a requested revision that we received in May of 2024, and then denied by staff because of the side yard setback. And then after some communication back and forth with the applicant, the decision to apply for this variance was made in August. The request itself, as you read in, is to adjust that side yard setback from the 10-foot required to a 4-foot side yard. And that's to allow for a deck that would project off the upper story 6 feet into that 10 feet. So that's the proposal ahead of you, or in front of you. Let me go into a little bit more detail on that. You'll see in the staff report, there's kind of elongated responses to the 5 criteria from staff's opinion. On the slide, I just kind of summarize those into, in staff's opinion, 4 out of the 5 aren't met. So that's why we're recommending denial on this request. You could see, I've tried to highlight the area that would be affected for the side yard setback there in the red box. So because the criteria is not met, because there isn't a hardship found by staff, because it seems to be more of a self-imposed request, staff felt like there was no other choice than to propose that the Board of Adjustment deny the request. Sorry. If you want me to elaborate on anything from the staff report, or if you have any questions for me, I can do that, but that's all I have presented.
Does anybody have anything?
I'm looking at the picture here and there's another picture that's in there. How big is the deck? Is it going out the full length of the house or is it just this little box?
No, it's, yeah, the proposed deck is 6 by 10 in
Okay.
that box. Okay, thank you.
Would you like to come forward now and present? Excuse me? Yeah, you have 15 minutes to
15
present.
minutes?
Yeah.
I don't think I'll take 15 minutes. Thank you. I know you're all volunteers and I appreciate your time sacrifice. So brief introduction. I am a lifelong resident of Provo. My parents built a house literally around the corner from the fire station back in 1951.
Do
So
we
I-
need the applicants to
Oh,
name
yeah,
and
let's
address?
State your name and your
Oh,
address.
my name
I'm
is
sorry.
Scott Murray
Thank you.
and
Do you live in Provo?
I live in Provo, lifelong resident. So I grew up on 3050 North back when Edgemont was very rural. It was fun times, riding horses and motorcycles up in the clay pits. So there was a house here before when I bought this, and I've torn it down. I love this location because I feel like I'm on my own little island. I have the firefighters next door, which they come and check on me. And then I have Edgewood, which, they keep their property very clean and pristine, more so than I wish the church would with the park. I'm trying to encourage them to do that. But that's one nice feature is the park to the north end of me. I understand Provo City's, the whole purpose. I'm in real estate. I've been a real estate broker for over 30 years. And I totally get it. I totally understand zoning, setbacks, and the purpose of those. I love people that will take care of their yards. And I guarantee you, I think Aaron had me sign an affidavit saying, okay, when we're ready to bring the curb and gutter to you, we want you to do that. And I'm like, heck yeah, I want to do that. I want to improve my lot, make sure it's attractive, well landscaped. But reality is that when I started framing, and my garage is a little tall, we started framing, I had a couple of windows where the proposed deck is located. And being a lifelong resident, the views are amazing I don't know how to pronounce the new Squaw Peak, Kiev Peak. Is it Kiev? Anybody help me? Us old timers still call it Squaw Peak. So Rock Canyon, Little Rock Canyon. It's amazing. There are unobstructed views. I took a tape measure from my building to the closest point of the fire station. It's 105 feet. So the distance is negligible. I mean, I'm not impacting another neighbor's house. I'm not on a tract. I'm not a tract home in a subdivision. It's me and the fire station and Edgewood. There's no public utilities between me and the fire station. I believe I already have a 2-foot bump out from my kitchen in that part of the house. So I feel like I didn't want to be ostentatious. I didn't want to draw attention, just a little something where I could step out and enjoy those views on the east side. So 6 feet protruding just by 10, I feel like it's reasonable and it would have a minimal impact on that. When the posting went up, I had a lady that I've gotten to know because I work with Edgewood. I'm trying to get them to replace a fence with me between me and them, but they have a tight budget. So I get a phone call from Belvin. And she's like, Scott, what are you doing? What's going on here? I said, Belva, come on over. Let me give you a tour of my house. And I'm not sure if you've had any positive or negative feedback from my neighbors, but I've had 3 or 4 people come over, talk to me. I've given them a tour. I've shown them up in my house, the view, what it looks like, the impact from the outside. And Belva completely changed her attitude. She was afraid I was going to build it on the west side where I'm looking into Edgewood. And anyway, I think she might have submitted some feedback. And I've had a couple other people that have told me in person that they were in favor and didn't see any problem with it. So that's pretty much my proposal in a nutshell. I vow to make sure that my property is going to be well maintained, well landscaped, well taken care of, and with minimal visual impact on the neighborhood. So, do you have any questions for me?
I do.
Okay.
So the distance on the other side of your house, to the front of the property, how much distance is there?
Are you talking on the west side or the south side?
I think it'd be the west
The
side.
west side? There's probably, the north end of my home probably is about 14 to 16 feet from the boundary, because the city, there's a fence running north and south on that west side. I can't read that, but I'm thinking it's about 14 feet.
So there's not any way to have had your house move forward so that you had more room on the back to put
Yeah.
your
Well, what I
deck there,
was,
right?
when I situated my house on the lot, and this is my house, I'm going to live there until I die. You can see on the north end, I only have 88 feet to work with from east to west. That's the total distance. It's about 88 feet. Whereas down here on Canyon Road, it's more like 165 feet. It kind of goes like this. So the other thing that I needed to do was replace the sewer lateral, the water line. So I was trying to balance, I still wanted a backyard between me and the park and still have enough room to be able to come up my driveway and pull into the garage. So the west on the north end, I'm thinking it's about 14 and then it grows because I have a driveway there right now on that west side to pull into the garage. I'm not sure. Did I answer your question?
You did,
Okay.
yes.
And there's a steep hill from Canyon Road up to the top.
Yeah. And this is coming off your bedroom? Is
It's
that
coming off a kind of a family room,
family room?
kitchen, family room, dining area,
And it borders the fire department.
fire station,
Yeah.
which to the east of me is the parking lot, basically. I'm looking out over that there's a gentle hill there and then the parking lot and then the fire station.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Anybody else have any?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll open it up. You have some?
You're opening up to the public. I was
Yes.
going to read the public comments that we received. Sorry. Seeing that there wasn't any public to cut in front of, I thought I'd just make my way. So we did receive 4 emails that were sent to the Board of Adjustment. Letters of support from neighbors, Elroy Roper, Robert Bailey, Douglas Clevin, and Alan Larson, letters of support. And outside of that, I only received 1 phone call that wanted to remain anonymous that said she didn't want it. But that's all the public feedback that we've received so far.
Thank you. Okay, we'll open it up to the board for discussion.
I just want to say that we did get all 4 of those letters ahead of time, so we have all had a chance to read through them before.
Actually, I might have a question for staff. Is there, if the deck were truncated at all, would it still meet setback or not at all?
I'm sorry, say that again.
If the deck right now it's 6 by 10, right?
Mhm.
If it were made any smaller, would it still meet, could it meet setback or would it
They-
not at all?
It wouldn't at all.
Okay,
They're
that's what I
allowed,
thought.
they're allowed a 2-foot projection.
Yeah.
Which you talked about with the kitchen. But yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
But with that 2-foot projection, I mean, you couldn't even get a chair out there, could you?
Not really.
Yeah.
So I agree with Mr. Murray that this is like an aesthetically desirable thing to do. And it doesn't seem to violate the spirit of the title necessarily. But one of the things that has been made very clear to us is that the ordinance is fairly strict about when we're allowed to do variances. And we have to meet all 5 of these criteria, not just 1 or 2 of them. So while I'm super sympathetic, there are aspects of the criteria that I don't think this petition meets. And to some extent, our hands are tied in those circumstances. It's been made really clear to us by the city that the ordinance is to be strictly applied.
I think it was delightful to see the show of social capital from your neighbors. I thought that was lovely myself. But I agree, it doesn't meet all 5 criteria. So approving it would be a problem.
I think I generally agree with that too. I could probably be convinced that being next to a public building like a fire station might be a special circumstances that doesn't apply to everything else, but I still don't feel like it would pass the rest of the criteria we have to judge it by.
Can I ask a question?
Sure. Come on up.
So my question is this. And I could be misguided, but a variance to me would be, are there mitigating circumstances that should be taken into consideration? That's the purpose of a variance, is that are there mitigating reasons? It's not like I have a neighbor next door. But yet all 5 criteria have to be met. I mean, how does a variance ever get approved? What's the purpose of a variance then? Because I did a little bit of research and looked at historical Board of Adjustment meetings where someone wants to build like a detached garage in their backyard next to their neighbor's property. To me, that seems so much more intrusive. And yet, I'm not sure if I remember how they determined whether they approve that or not. Anyway, am I wrong in assuming that this is supposed to be an avenue by which I can plead my case, that there's some situation here that ought to be taken into account? Short of meeting every single 5 criteria?
I think the challenge is that you are a new build. And so sometimes I know variances have been granted when there has been existing
Oh,
things,
all
but
right.
with being a new build, you had the opportunity to explore those options prior. So I think that's
Yeah.
a challenge.
Okay, well, I mean, that's a point. I just underestimated. And until you actually get to the elevation, it's hard to visualize, but that's
Yeah,
understandable.
I think if it had been planned, then you'd have situated the house another 6 or 8 feet to the west
Yeah.
and made that west side yard smaller than the east side yard would have had the capacity. But
Yeah.
it is, I'm sure this is an idea that came to you after you had actually broken ground and everything
Oh,
already.
yes. Not until I had framed it
Mhm.
and then was able to get up there. So,
Right.
okay.
So that's kind of the challenge, but yeah, they come down hard on us if we don't follow the criteria. Aaron like pulls out his wet noodle and we each get 40 lashes.
Does anybody have anything else?
Well, I guess I might as well, add my voice to everyone else's. A couple of thoughts. One is, as much as we are, informed by staff, we do sit independent of staff. And I think you're right. The purpose of the board is to basically mitigate where literal enforcement would do harm, have a perverse outcome. That said, the mechanisms through which we have to do that are quite defined, and I think as written in the code, given that we're not allowed to, given that hardship precludes anything that is self-imposed or economic, I don't know that I can find hardship, no matter how otherwise reasonable this might be.
I see your concerns and your wishes, and you want to have a beautiful place to live. And I'm a lot of the faith that when you own a piece of property, if you can meet the codes and whatever you want to do, whatever's concerning you to build what you want, yeah, you should be able to build something that you love and enjoy. And when these kind of things come along, it really hurts me to see that maybe we can't go along with it because of criteria that isn't met, when I can see you want to be somebody that is enjoyed in the neighborhood, and you have a very presentable place, and you try to take care of it and everything else. And so I see and understand your feelings. Out of curiosity, what is the height of the deck and what's below the deck? Can you come up once more and ask a few more questions? So will that be grass back there, or will it be patio? What's going to be back there?
I have an entrance to the east side of my garage. So it'll just be sidewalk, landscaping. The height, I'm guessing, is probably somewhere around 14 feet.
And that's where
To-
your.
to the bottom
your
of the
trusses
deck.
will be, or your
Yeah.
studs will be coming out.
Yeah,
Excuse me, your joists will be coming out.
yeah. Yeah.
Do we have anything else to discuss?
I'm prepared to make a motion if that is desirable by the board. So I make a motion that we accept staff's recommendation and that we decline the request for variance as outlined in the item.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
To the extent that we need findings for the record, I think I will include, if people are amenable, that we find that the fourth criteria is met, but the remainder are not.
I'd even say the fifth is, but two of them doesn't carry us all the way there.
Well, 1 through 3, then may the record state.
Okay, thank you. Let's take it to a vote then. We'll start with you, Lori.
Aye.
Aye.
Andrew Rennick, aye.
Tom Halliday, aye.
Amanda Peterson, aye.
Okay, this will close the Board of Adjustment meeting for the 31st or 30th of September. Oh, yes. Let me find that. There it is, right there. Okay, the decision of the board may be appealed to the 4th District Court by filing a written appeal to the court within 30 days after the filing of the decision of the Board of Adjustments, per the requirements of section 14-05-050 of the Provo City Code. Do we have a motion to close?
I will move to adjourn.
Second?
Second, third.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.